All right, guys, about a month ago, I picked a little Shield security lock, and you guys said, well, that's the easy one. If you get his bigger brother, he's going to give you a bit more of a challenge. The way this is boxed, there's a listing on Amazon, $10.49. It got okay ratings, I guess. Looks like an American clone, but looking at the box, it looks like it's almost designed for industry. So anyway, let's take a look at it, see what we got. Don't need that stinking box, don't need the stinking key. And I can already tell this is hardened steel. There's no question this is hardened steel. Check it out. Nice and shiny. Engraved, all capitals, definitely hardened. No doubt about it. In China, they would never lie about that. And this, by the way, is made in China for Shield security. So there we go. It does look a lot like an American. Very strong shackle. So it should pop out of there with quite some violence. Let me get that junk out of the way. And it does have a removable core, but this is unusual. It's a Schlage key, and that would not be a direct copy of American locks. And it has a super strong resistance spring to turn that core, and it's pretty gritty. But for $10.49, I don't guess we can expect a lot. Doesn't seem to want to go back in there. All right. Rather than, if this is a true copy of an American lock, it's probably got security pins like serrated and spools. And if we're trying to pick it clockwise, the way the key turns, we're going to be fighting against that tremendous spring pressure, which is going to rob us of all the feedback that the lock and those security pins might give us. All those little clues are going to be muffled quite a bit. But let's try something a little different. Let me grab a tensioner. If we pick this backwards, let me make sure we can even do it. Take the other end and put it right there. Yeah, if we pick this backwards, we have a little bit, let me grab a pick. There's a little bit of room right here. So if we pick them backwards, there's no spring resistance, completely live core. We get all the feedback, but we won't get an open. But there's a little trick. I've used it before on kryptonite locks, and I think I might try it on this lock too. Let's give it a shot. First of all, let's see if we can clear the warding with this pick, and it looks like we can. So I can pick from the bottom, which is really nice to be able to do. And I'm just going to hold them in my hand if that's okay. Slide them in. Find a resisting pin. There he is, pin 3. Little click. 2. Little mush. Pin 1. Counter rotation. Little click. And that was 4. Little click. 3. Counter rotation. Got a little click. So this thing's really talking to us. All this feedback we probably would not have gotten if we had to fight that powerful spring. And it feels like 5, and there we go. We have, the core has turned. Now, let me get that tensioner out. You notice he didn't turn the right way. He turned backwards. So we can probably take our pick and just spin him around. If you spin him all the way around, we're still not going to get an open, but that's okay, because there's a little trick I'll show you. What I'm going to do is turn him all the way back until he doesn't quite lock. So he'll be aligned just like that. I'm going to grab my spinner. This one is from Multi-Pick, but any of them will do. And just make sure that when you push the button, it'll spin it clockwise. Then what I'm going to do is just take him and slide him right down the middle. Just like that. Try not to set those pins, and then push the button. We should get an open because it spins them so quickly. The springs in the lock are not fast enough to push them back down the side of the core and relock it. Anyway, that is how you beat a super strong, very gritty core keyway on a Shield. Anyway, this one is guttable. Let's take a look and see what's inside of them. I just looked and saw a screw there. So I didn't expect that, but we got it. Let's see what they put inside of here. Okay, it comes apart just like an American. It looks very much like an American core, so clearly the Chinese have just copied it. This one looks like it has 6 pins, but I don't see a 6th pin in there looking in the top. But we'll take a closer look. Let me move all this junk. By the way, This one probably was bypassable. I didn't even try that. Okay, let's just pull this little clip off here. We do have a key, so I can lock this back up if I want to, in order to give myself a little bit of leverage here. Come off. That thing is rusted on there. Really. All right, let me get a probe so I can fit it down in this little crack and wedge it. Come on. Wow. That thing does not want to come off. All right, pinning tray. Okay, we're going to take the key. We know the key works. No spring resistance right now. And now we need a little plug to go down in there. This guy probably won't work. That guy probably. Oh, goodness gracious. Everybody's got to use that half moon style. Whoa, look at the fine work on this. This is brand new. I just unwrapped this. How rough that is. It looks like what they did is they did not have the right size pins. They shoved random size pins and took a file and just filed them flat to clear the shear line. What wonderful precision that is. I mean, it did work, but that probably explains why it was so gritty. And the 6th pin is not even drilled, so they didn't even bother with that. All right, standard. What junk. Okay, let's take a look inside of here. All right, we're probably going to find some spools. Okay, there's a very nasty looking spool. I mean, really poorly cast. Same thing. It looks like a, I hate to say it, but a dinger, if you know what I mean. It's got a big head on it and a thinner shaft. Where'd that other pin go? Look, I'm going to show you a close-up of this. These things are so rough. It's incredible. And the last one with his little spring, I don't know where that, oh, that came out of 6, but there was nothing in 6. Come on. Come on. You get the idea. Those things are in a love lock. And there's a ball bearing in 6. He wasn't functioning though, so the only thing that 6 was doing is that spring was pushing that ball bearing down into that little drilled hole right there to give it kind of a indexed feel. And I guess you'd need that with the rough machining on this. Look at how rough those pins are. How nasty. Anyway, there was not a lot to it. Sometimes roughly machined and file locks can be a pain in the tuchus to get open. But if you pick them backwards, you can bypass all that roughness and spring tension and get in them quite easily, as you just saw. Anyway, guys, appreciate your time. Stay safe. Stay legal.
Walk light where the sun beams.